more about things that you found? Like you referenced, like there were things that I found that I didn't even know before, and you have all of this formal
Yeah.
training and like you studied it. What are some other things that you found in that Sankofa experience that you were like, how did I never know this?
Yeah. Here's one of them in particular that really hit me, and that I had to process a lot of feelings with this. Is that, I'm a product of Fort Bend ISD. Grew up in, as I mentioned, Missouri City, Sugar Land. Those are the cities that raised me. That's where I was educated, private school and public school. And outside of the memorial, outside of the hanging memorial, there's flattened memorials where you can walk around, and everything is organized by state and then alphabetically by county.
Wow, this is in Birmingham.
This is in Birmingham. Yeah. And when I tell you, as I found Texas, and as I kept getting closer and closer to F, when I found the memorial marker for Fort Bend County, and when I found names there, that really hit me, because I grew up there my whole life and I was educated there, and I never knew what happened to those people there. My ancestors, perhaps, I mean, probably not, but when you look at, these are the people who came before me, in a sense.
And those were people who were lynched in Fort Bend.
Yeah, yeah. When I tell you that every year in elementary school, they took us on tours of the sugar factory. And of course you remember, because you do it every year, sometimes in summer in Houston, which is hot, but we learned you can't use air conditioning in that building because it interferes with the process of making sugar. And so we learned so much about the sugar cane, how it's, refined, how you get the different types of sugar for Sugar Land.
Right.
No one ever taught us who was picking the cane. No one ever taught us about these people, the lives they lived, the lynchings that occurred. Because in the South, there is the history that people fight to remember, and there is the history that we deliberately forget.
Right out. I mean, I've heard your mom say so many times, like, our stories have been written out of history.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the thought of it made me angry, then it made me sorrowful. And it made me have, of course, so many more questions of what else I don't know about the people who came before me, where I was raised, where I grew up, the place that I call home. So that made it really personal for me. When I found that marker and that memorial, it opened my eyes to how much I still don't know about our history, and yours and mine. Because, of course, Black history is American history. Right. We have to understand how we came to be. We have to understand the things that happened so that, again, we can connect the dots and we can have a deeper, more meaningful conversation when these things happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that's so good. Can you tell me, and this will be my last question, can you tell me about your lived experience? Can you give me a story, or like, what is it like to live in North Carolina in the skin that you live in? What is it like?
It's a lot of fun. I gotta tell you this, Kelly, I love being Black and I love being a woman. And if I had to re-up on this, I would every time.
Oh, I love that.
I think there's something, again, so magical about the feminine. I think there's something so magical and wonderful about the melanin in my skin. But I have to tell you that it's been a journey, because I haven't always felt this way. I've always been proud of my family and where I come from in that sense. But the pride that I have that's connected to being a Black woman has grown as I have grown over time. And to be honest, it's just come from educating myself.
Mm.
Because again, if you wait for somebody to teach you, you're going to be ignorant.
Yeah, that's
So
good.
it's come from educating myself. It's come from surrounding myself in a community that values Black women. It comes from finding that deeper connection with the creator who made me exactly as I am. It comes from all of that. And again, over time, to the point where, like I said, I wouldn't want to be anything else. I have so much pride in being a part of this storied history. As we connect the dots, it goes from all the way back eventually to me. And that's something that I find great pride in. So I think it's great being me. How other people view me and how other people accept me is probably a lot more dependent on them and their context and things like that, because being a Black woman in North Carolina or anywhere is not a cakewalk. It's has its own set of challenges, of course. That's why it's so, I think, celebrated and should be when you have successful Black women achieving and dreaming and reaching goals, because you know that they have overcome so much just to get a little recognition.
Yeah.
So all of that I find very inspiring, all of it. I think every time I see a woman who is doing it, I'm like, yes, because that's me. Every time I see an African American that's doing it, I'm like, yes, because that's me too. Every time, girl, you doing this, yes, because that's me.
Yeah.
So my lived experience is really the journey of not of always understanding that I was Black and that that meant something different. But being an African American in a majority white setting,
Okay.
if you let someone tell you what it means to be Black, it can be a negative thing. And if you don't have that much exposure to how rich Blackness is, you can start to internalize the things that you hear and the things that you see on television and the things that you read. And so it's been a deeply personal journey to I guess I'll say re-educate myself.
Yeah.
To understand all the power and the magic and the pride that is a part of me and my identity.
That is so beautiful.
If that makes sense.
That makes so much sense. And it is so empowering to hear you say that. Like, and I mean, I've met you one time, but to hear you say that, like that resonates with my experience of you. Like when you walk, like, and people won't know because they can't see all of you, but like when you walk into a room, it's just like, you want to say like, there she is. Like, she's fire. She's like bold. She like, there's just this light. So I just want to say like, I can see that. So whatever work you've done, whatever spiritual journey you've been on to find that knowing who you are and being centered in your identity it's a force and it's beautiful. And I'm so thankful, like, to hear you say that. That is just so inspiring. I love that. Thank you for sharing that with me.
Yeah, of course. And thank you for doing this. And I encourage you to continue your work, continue your education, or as I think is more, I think it's more accurate to say re-education, because
Yes.
whether we realize it or not, the things, our environment shapes us, the things that we see and we read and we hear, that shapes us. And I think we all have to engage on this journey of personal growth and truth. And it's out there. You have to put it on yourself to find it.
Right.
So I encourage you and everyone watching and listening to the work that you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Re-educate yourself.
You said, and I have it in quotes right here, and it's gonna be one of those things I always hold. You said, if you wait for somebody to teach you, you're going to be ignorant. I think that phrase, like that statement is like, that's it. I mean, that is it. And
Yeah.
so that is what I am doing and have just started, because I have been privileged enough in my life to not have to deal with educating myself or
Right.
knowing the truth. And
Right.
I've just finished the 1619 project. I've talked to your mom about it like every day. And I've shared on previous videos, but I mean, that's where I have begun, because I just had this sense of like, I want the to know the very first moment of this history. And then now I'm going back and I'm going to read. I mean, I have like a list of, a mile long of authors I want to read, and to get that context, what you're saying.
And the beautiful thing is, I've read the 1619 Project as well. And slavery is a big piece of the story, but it's not the story. When you start learning about Black people and Black culture, it's amazing because the influence is everywhere and the very fabric of this country and the fabric of our culture that's shared and who we are. And I think it's so, I would say, if I could speak directly to white people,
Please.
there's some Black folks in your life.
Mhm.
Honestly, we were talking and joking about like experimental cooking earlier, but I'm so serious. Like, can you imagine? This is the way I think of it, which is going to sound very crazy, but like, imagine a piece of unseasoned chicken. If that's all you've ever had your whole life, you think this is nourishment and this is good. Add some spice to your life. Put some cayenne on there. Put some salt and pepper and some garlic powder, onion powder. Add diversity to your life. Invite people to your table that are different from you because it will enrich you. Black culture is enriching. Learn about it. Be a part of it.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. It's so good. Thank you. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
saying that. Thank you so much for your time. I'm honored to share this time with you. Thank you.
Of course, of course. Next time you see my mom, I guess I won't say a hugger, but send close loves for me.